Welcome to the squad. It's Ice Water and Puma. We have a special guest today, our college. He was my college roommate and our college mate, Cris. He's changing his name from Cuddy to Baller. So we're going to call him Baller in this episode, Ball. And I have to say about this man, we were roommates for years, housemates, and I got to know his family, his dad, his mom, his grandmother, his sisters, and they treated me well. So I'm glad to have you on the show, bro. And congratulations because you won our March Madness picks this year with a score of 177. So I want to start out talking to you and asking you, what was your formula? Because I know we talked a week before the tournament, and I didn't think we were exchanging notes. We were just kind of talking about the tournament, but I was looking at your picks along the way, and I'm like, this guy is not missing, and I want to know the formula. So, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. First of all, thanks for having me. It's good to be on here. As far as a formula, I'm not sure if I really had one. I do got to give you some credit though, and you kind of talked about Florida, and I didn't know anything about them. And I started researching, looking at their schedule, and I went to some like old games that were recorded and watched them from this season. I was like, wow, man, they got a good squad. They were athletic, had good shooting. They were long, had good presence in the paint. And I just kind of had a good feeling about them. Other than that, I think, that was kind of what I did, kind of look at teams and look at who they played, especially out of conference, any ranked opponents, how they did against those ranked opponents. And probably a lot of it's just luck.
Yeah,
You just never know where the upsets are because there's always those 12-5 upsets and trying to pick those.
yeah, because at one point in the Sweet 16, I think you said you had like 11 of the 16 teams, and I'm like, man, I ain't never had 11 of the 16 teams. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? But let me get you in here, Ice. Houston didn't work out for you. I know three of us had Florida, Pop had St. John's, and you had Houston. And in that last game, I felt for you, bro. I felt for you in that last no shot. Give me your thoughts about the game, man.
Yeah, I mean, the game was tough, bro. And you gotta realize I chose Houston and I live and die with Houston. So Houston at least three, maybe four times took me to the edge of insanity where I thought I was just gonna lose it all, bro. I was like, I know they're gonna lose, they're gonna lose, they're gonna lose. I can remember the games, the Gonzaga game,
Yeah,
right? They're right there on the edge. Clearly, the Duke game. I thought that was really over. And then to make it to the championship was like, well, we all in right now. But yeah, it was tough. But and the thing too that really got me because I thought that the way that Houston was playing defense and they were older and the way they played, I thought they would give Florida because they had been beating so many other teams. And then like Florida was close on the edge too, like three times, right?
mm,
I thought they were suspect when they played UConn, right? UConn could have got them. What was the other team? I think it was like one of the tech was it Texas Tech or something like that. They played them.
yeah. Texas Tech was
Yeah,
tough.
that was a close game where they were losing, and then against Houston. But I just thought overall, you got to give it to Florida, and I say that because even though I lost, you got to give it to them because they showed near the end, they showed a lot of what I call moxie and toughness. And was it Clayton Jr. You
Walter
know,
Clayton Jr. Yeah,
yeah, Houston literally to me, and I told my brother this. They shut that dude down. He had 30 and 30 back to back, but early on they had him shook. But when it mattered, they were able to come together, limit their turnovers. They were more aggressive than Houston, and Clayton Jr. stepped his game up. He did what they needed him to do. So granted, he didn't get to 30, but he showed some moxie and some determination and some leadership to help that team win. So kudos to them, even though it hurt because I had a futures bet that really broke my heart. But you got to give it to them. They deserved it. They won it, and I'm still proud of Houston though, because
yeah,
I'm telling you, with the missing free throws, all that, it was three teams throughout the whole year I liked. Well, actually four, but three teams I thought really were similar, and I like because they played defense and they were big and talented. One was Alabama,
hmm
second was Auburn, right? then Auburn, then it was Houston, and like even Texas A&M. But those the three though, that the ones that made it, they were like dynamite, and I liked them. And I said, out of those teams, which one can I choose? And I had to go with Houston because I thought Houston was a little bit more, focused. The Roberts kid was amazing. They just had everything, and I liked the way they played D. But hey, that's what you do. In the beginning, you had to take a choice. You had to make a choice, and I was scared to death because I was like, so many intangibles, but I rolled with them and almost, almost won. But that don't count. Chris won. Congratulations, bro.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you. Really, I feel Houston outplayed Florida for most of the game up until about the 9 minute mark of the second half. And then Florida started to come back. Clayton started hitting a few shots. He got a little bit more involved. I mean, that was actually probably one of the better championship games in a long time because of the back and forth. I mean, it was 7 minute mark, or it was 48-48. Then it was 51-51, then 53-53. And so it was just kind of back and forth. And I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know who was going to pull that game out until it just started to swing a little bit Florida's way. A couple of turnovers on Houston's part, and they capitalized some free throws. I mean, Walter Clayton doesn't close out on that Sharper kid, and he gets a clean look. That game could have went a whole different direction. But me and Don were talking kind of earlier. I just didn't understand the strategy when you have 12 seconds and you're only down by two, not to try to get to the hole, create some contact, and maybe get to the line and tie the game up that way. Yeah. But, sometimes, the kid thought he had a look and, he makes it. It's game time, so just kudos to that Clayton kid for closing out as fast as he did. I don't think the kid realized he was going to close out on him.
Yeah, I know me and my pop were talking about the game last week, and basically he was wondering why Walter Clayton Jr. wasn't driving the ball a lot more. And you and I just talked, Chris, and I was saying maybe Sampson felt like, if we did drive and get to the line, we couldn't really secure those or knock down those free throws. So maybe just if you get a look, fake, get the two to tie it as the last resort. But Sharp was shooting the lights out throughout the whole tournament, and if he would have got that shot off, I think he would have got that. But Pop also made a observation that I've been watching all year about is that Walter Clayton Jr. somehow, some way down the stretch makes a play that will turn the game around in Florida's favor. And it wasn't on the offensive end. It was that he was about to block that shot. He got there, and Sharp had to let the ball go, which that was a real head scratcher. But we got to realize that those are kids out there playing, and sometimes when you're under the pressure, you go to playground rules, like somebody else grab the ball and throw it up. But you gotta get a shot off in that. Even if he blocked it, you get three chances to maybe get a foul, three chances to get to the line. But I kind of felt that after I started thinking about it, maybe Sampson was saying, maybe it wouldn't serve us well getting to the line, because we're not shooting free throws well. My kids are kind of crumbling under the pressure, and let's just hit a three or two to tie it, three to get out of here with a win.
Good. Yeah. That's a good point. Good point. I think good players, if they're not scoring, like they normally do, they find other ways to contribute. And I think that's exactly what that kid did. He just found another way to contribute defensively if he wasn't quite doing it offensively.
Yeah, and I saw him do it throughout the game. Even though he wasn't scoring, he was doing the things that kept his team, just to strike away, to grab the game. But something I found out about Walter Clayton Jr. is that, and I didn't think about this until after March Madness ended, is that he played under Rick Pitino. So that explains a lot of the toughness that he has. And he played with Iona, and he was supposed to go to St. John's. And think about it, if he went to St. John's, we may be talking about another team in the championship. But I guess Florida offered him $2 million. That was more than St. John's could offer, and
Yeah.
he gets there. So this is what I want to talk about with you guys. And we talked a little bit about this earlier. Is about the NIL is kind of changing college sports into pro sports, with all these athletes getting paid and in the transfer portal. And I'll go to Ice first. What do you think about this? Because we knew the NIL was going to change the game. And then when the transfer portal came, it was like these, I mean, as soon as the game ended, or if a team's season ended, they are going to another team. There's some teams in women's college basketball, some players just going in the transfer portal. You see it in college football. Now you're seeing it in basketball. What are your thoughts? It's turning into pro sports almost.
Yeah. Oh, I just think that overall, when you see the point of NIL being as big as it is and kids getting their money, they had the same options that coaches had before, right? Where coaches could transfer, go not transfer, but coaches could take other jobs. And now these kids are in a point where they really can weigh their options and see what works best for them. And it's not wrong with that. I mean, you see where I think there's a couple of women transferring from like LSU, leaving South Carolina, even which might be the ideal situation for some people. But really now, I think even at Notre Dame, there's situations for the women or even men too, where kids are now or young people are starting to worry about their own brands, their own identity, what's going on with my game. So I might be a passer, an assist person at Notre Dame, but I go to TCU and I'm the man or I'm the woman. And I'm doing that because I'm getting ready for my next level of competition. It might be the NBA, might be WNBA. And while some may question that, those choices, can't be mad at a person that wants to work on themselves and better themselves and improve their situation. Because when you play for teams that are really dynamic and dominant and play for championships, some kids or some players get lost. And the question is, do you want to be a champion and be a reserve player or whatever? Or do you want to be a person that works on your own individual game, maybe in a different situation? Question is, what do you want? And I think that's what matters most to these athletes, or it should at least at this point.
All right, I know, Chris, you're in Ohio State country, and I know that folks were trying to get that wide receiver. I call him a pro wide receiver right now, and he's staying in Columbus. But what do you think about the transfer portal and the NILs? It's kind of turning college sports into pro sports.
It really is. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. And I guess what I mean is for the kids, I think it's great to be able to transfer if the situation isn't right for you and you want to go to another situation. I think it's great that they're finally making money, just like, the schools, the coaches, and everybody else was, the NCAA, and they're starting to get some of that pie. I guess what I'd like to see is, well, let me say this first. I think it's coming down to who has the deepest pockets.
Yeah.
So the big programs like Ohio State, as much as I love Ohio State, but if they can pay a kid 5 million, 4 million, whatever the case may be, then it's just, they're an abundance of riches. It's just they've got all the players, all the big programs. The Alabamas are continuing to be the dominant program, so it's not leveling the playing field, so to speak. But from a standpoint of the players, I think it's great. And because some of these players aren't going to make it to the NFL. Some of them aren't going to be pro athletes, and it gives them a chance to make as much money off their name, image, and likeness, and take that money and go forward with their life and do whatever they decide to do, whether it's continue their education, start a business, start a foundation. But I think it would be great if somehow there could be an even playing field. So I don't know if that has to do with putting caps on things, and I don't know. That discussion could just go on.
Yeah, it's going to turn college sports into something that we probably could never have imagined. But I think it's like a minor league. at this particular point. But speaking of college, let's go to some of the college football players who are trying to get that bag in the NFL draft. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, and I know we had some feelings. I know I have some favorite teams, and you guys were talking about Cleveland trying to nab a quarterback, but I forget how many quarterbacks they've had over the last few years, like 25 quarterbacks, and they just haven't worked out. According to Pro Football Network, they had a mock draft, and they're saying Tennessee is going to pick Cam Ward, and I'll go through the top 10. They said Cleveland's going to pick Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State. They say Travis Hunter, the cornerback wide receiver from Colorado, is going to the Giants. They say New England's going to pick up the offensive tackle out of LSU, Will Campbell. They say that Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan, and Jacksonville Jaguars, who need that in their repertoire. And this was a surprise to me yesterday when I was reading this. Ashton Gentry. I thought teams would pick him up. I thought he would be like in the top 3 from Boise State. The Las Vegas Raiders are looking to get him. And this surprised me yesterday when I looked at this article. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Shedeur Sanders, quarterback from Colorado. And I know, Ice, you were talking about a lot of folks are kind of down in Shedeur. Maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers want that so they can grab him, because I can't see them waiting for Aaron Rodgers. You got the Carolina Panthers with Shamar Stewart, the edge from Texas A&M. You have New Orleans picking Will Johnson, a cornerback from Michigan. And number 10, the Bears picking an offensive lineman who they desperately need from Missouri. So, Ice, I'm going to go to you first, man. What do you think about the mock draft, and where do you see these players going?
Well, we know number one is pretty set, right? I mean, I think that Tennessee initially said they were going to do something different, but I think that they see the writings on the wall. They've tried, with the last 5 years, they tried every freaking thing to get a quarterback. They've drafted like 9 guys, and nobody really has turned out the way they wanted to. So I think that they feel like Ward is the guy. I mean, he's got a lot of style. He comes off. He's relentless, and he's shown real well in his workout. So I think they're solidified on him from that standpoint. I think they even had a point where they're going to check out the Shedeur Sanders and a workout, and they said, "No, we good. We don't need to, we don't need to bring you in for no personal workout, because we know what we want." And I think that's what they're doing there. So I think that's solidified. Then it gets interesting at 2. I think you said it was Carter as a defensive end.
Abdul Carter, the edge.
Yeah. State. Okay. First of all, let me say this. I'm from Ohio, without any bias. I'm not a Cleveland fan. I'm not really a Bengals fan. I grew up in kind of, Dayton area, which is close to Cincinnati. But I'm just looking at football. Okay. I've been watching Cleveland for a long time. A lot of disappointment, the pain of Baltimore team going to Baltimore, win the Super Bowl next year. Bill Belichick, considered one of the greatest minds in football, used to be the coach in Cleveland before he made that jump. So there's a lot of pain over there, bro. A lot of pain. So with that being said, you got to make some better decisions. And one of the decisions, I'm like, I like Carter. He might be one of the best athletes. And it would be nice for him to go with Myles Garrett so you have an amazing defense. But, bruh, you got to score some points, man. In this modern day football, NFL, you don't really hear. This is not the old Bears, right? Minnesota Vikings defense, right? The old Dallas Cowboys or the old Washington team defenses. You need to score points in this new NFL. So with that being said, as much as I think Carter could help them, and you're not going to pick a quarterback, because when you sign Joe Flacco, you're basically saying, "Nah, we just need somebody to be a stopgap till we can figure this out." Yeah. And so what I'm saying, if I was them, I would go with the Heisman Trophy winner. And it's like, look, Travis Hunter during pro day, everybody was there. The Browns had about 22 people there watching this guy. So he showed you he can play wide receiver on that level. He's going to be instant when you put him out there. He's that good. He's that talented. The bonus, too, is he can play cornerback. He's a shutdown corner. You cannot lose. If you people like, oh, you need to be focused only on one position. This dude is that good. You can split him up whatever you want to do. You do not pass on talent like this. You just don't. And Cleveland needs this guy. They need him to play wide receiver. They need to let him play corner, whatever they need to do. Then the other part of it too is if you want to make a change and you do want a quarterback, then just go down later in the draft and get you one. I would say somebody they need a mobile quarterback and somebody they can grow with and build with. And to me, I would choose whatever round it is, if he's available later in the first, second, third, whatever, the quarterback from Alabama.
Okay.
Because he has upside. He just needs some work. Everybody wants these automatic. This is a star and jumps out there and he's amazing. He's this rookie and he's tearing the league up, a la Jason Daniels. But let's think about history shows us several points from that standpoint. How long did Patrick Mahomes did not come in and knock it down? He had to wait.
Yeah, about a year.
4 years, right? Aaron Rodgers, he had to wait. A lot of teams, players coming here, they had to wait. Tom Brady had to wait. So if a quarterback comes in and has the ability to wait 3-4 years, get that understanding, learn the system, and then work forward, that's what I think Cleveland needs to do. Everybody wants this right now. We live in a right now society. I want it now. Okay, well, no. Hell, you've been waiting this long. What's a couple more years? So that's what I'm saying. So I think, and I'm going to leave it there, I would choose the Heisman Trophy winner. I think New Orleans at 9 really wants Shedeur Sanders. And Derek Carr, the quarterback, I think he just had some shoulder issues. And you have Kellen Moore is a young coach down there, and he wants a quarterback of the future who's mobile and can do some things, and that's Shedeur Sanders. And I think that would be a perfect fit for Shedeur to go out to New Orleans.
A couple of things, Chris, before I turn it over to you. I think Deion Sanders is in the ear of Shedeur and Hunter saying, no, don't go to Cleveland. The other thing I'm thinking too, you got the Raiders picking before the Steelers. I think that the Raiders, and we've been saying this for a while, Ice, I think the Raiders get Shedeur, and then the Steelers fall down and get Gentry at this particular point. Because I think the Raiders and his relationship, Shedeur Sanders and his relationship with Tom Brady, I can't see the Raiders passing up Shedeur Sanders, him being available, and then passing them up at that particular time with the relationship they have. Chris, what do you think about the mock draft?
I definitely am in agreement with Icewater. I love the Travis Hunter kid. I think he's an athlete. You can use him defensively. You can use him in the wide receiver or even in a wildcat situation. Mm-hmm. I don't see how the Raiders can pass him up if he's still available. I also think I like the Ashton Gente kid, and I think he probably will go in the top 5. And that's just my prediction. But I could also see somebody like the Cowboys who are really hurting, for, a decent running back, maybe try to trade up for him. Not sure about Secure Sanders and where he might land. Could be the Saints. You never know.
Yeah. Because I know the Cowboys are banking on Marion Hampton from North Carolina, because they don't expect Gentry to be there unless they try to move up in a trade or something like that. I don't know if Dallas have any kind of trading leverage at this particular point to move up in the draft. And for the last few years, Dallas hasn't really done anything to kind of improve their roster. So I think, I don't know. I think they'll get the best available player at that particular point. Because I'm looking at number 11, San Francisco going for offensive tackle, Cowboys going for a running back after trying to bring Zeke back, and that didn't work out. Indianapolis going for a tight end. Miami needs offensive linemen to protect Tua, so they're going there. Falcons need linebackers, so they're going there. But it's like these teams are really kind of, you can see through this mock draft, they're really focusing on trying to get a need. Any other thoughts, Ice, before we get off this topic?
Yeah, when you mentioned about Dallas, you're right. There's nothing that's going to change that situation right away. So there's no one pick or no one person. Not even if they were to get the running back out of Boise State, he's not going to fix it for them, and more likely he's going to be gone. So they don't also having need a lot of room to move because of all the money they spent over in the offseason re-signing people. So when in doubt, I always said this, and that's the only reason why they got CD Lamb. They didn't need CD Lamb. Everybody was saying defense. He was the best available player. So when in doubt, get you a wide receiver. They got the kid from Texas, right? You got the kid out in Arizona. There's like 5 wide receivers that are pretty good. They're going to, and then you put them over there with CD Lamb, you open it up. And with all the money that you paid Dak Prescott, you can find a running back. You can find a running back. There's not too many running backs coming out here that are can't miss. So even if it's a vet, go get you a running back. But if you have a chance to get a wide receiver to go with this high price quarterback you've been paying, you need to go ahead and get them. Because I mean, at 12, somebody's going to be there, and that's what I would do because you need more playmakers. One thing we're seeing about Dak Prescott, he gets all these yards and whatnot, but you need some guys that are going to be playmakers when it counts. And I think that's one thing I said about quarterbacks. Everybody, well, oh, Dak is this, and he was up in the MVP race. That don't matter, bro. When you have been part of the Dallas Cowboy fandom, and I'm a Cowboy fan, I'll say that. I've been a Cowboy fan a long time. In the NFL, at some point, for your team to win the championship, your quarterback has to have some plays where he's special. That's why Patrick Mahomes is amazing. So they lost, like, at one point, several wide receivers in the last couple of years, and he held on and kept them moving until everybody got healthy. They almost did it again last year. They ran into a buzzsaw. But other than that, you need a guy that's going to go in there and make plays. Not, oh, he got all these great stats, and when it counts during the regular season. You need a playmaker in the trenches when it counts. And I think that's where Buffalo's struggling with Allen up there. He has not made the plays. You got to have some boy do just like, I'm going to put him on my back. You got to do that. Pittsburgh needs that right now.
Yeah.
There's so many teams that just go, okay, you don't have to be great all the time. But when it counts, you need to go, hey, nothing's working. The coach made this play. He made the call. I'm out here. It don't work. I'm calling the audible. You need to go here. We're going to score. And that's what you got to do. That's why there's a difference between good quarterbacks and great quarterbacks. And I think if a team like the Bengals get the hell out the way and get a little defense, Joe Burrow's that type dude, man. Because even last year when you saw him, you was like, how's their record? And he was just like working. Now they re-signed the wide receivers. They went back and got the new defensive coordinator, the guy Al Golden that was over at Notre Dame, and start making some better choices. They're gonna be a problem. So
yeah, they're gonna be a problem next year.
You need that quarterback that just like look, and it don't have to be no top-notch guy. It can just be a dude that is a game manager because people don't realize. I mean, you do now. Tom Brady didn't come here knocking it down, bro.
Right.
But he used what he had. Name me two wide receivers besides Randy Moss that were all pro. Yeah. They used short little dudes, and I'm gonna say this, mostly white dudes that ran little scat backs, and Tom Brady threw the running backs.
And he made them
white. It's all about systems and how you go about using it. But it starts with the quarterback that understands what he has, and he works the system.
Yeah, and they had Gronk and Hernandez at one particular point, and they were killing. They were killing.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Major League Baseball. And there are two things that I wanted to kind of pull out ice on this one with your Major League Baseball report. It seems like the San Diego Padres have got it together with everybody healthy and everybody playing well. And they're at a 12-3 record. And this is like the best record they had in some years. It's tied the best start that they've had. And then I want to talk a little bit about these, with your report, the torpedo bats, because that's been big news about everybody knocking home runs out the park with these torpedo bats. And are they making a big difference, or is it kind of something that is put in the brain of these players that I got a better bat, so I can hit better?
Well, let's start with those torpedo bats, as you say. People make this big deal, all these special bats. All they doing is manipulating the daggone bats they already have, bruh. It's inside the rules. So all they're doing is making a little change and Some people might feel that they have an advantage. Nah, the bats are the bats. You still got to put the work in, but they're just doing something that may make the bat feel a little lighter, and then they'll hit it. So maybe like anything else, we know that the Major League Baseball is a copycat league, right? Other teams will start doing it. But I'm not gonna sit here and go, well, it's them bats. It's the reason why. It's like saying it must be the shoes. Come on, bro. You still you still got to put work in. So it's nice. It's quirky. You know, people are like, oh yeah, what do you think about this? Come on, man. Look, hey, you still got to put the work in. Let's just give it up to somebody being a little bit having having an innovative idea, changing up a few things, allowing their batters to get the ball off their shoulders maybe a little quicker. But yeah, I wouldn't go that far. But in regards to you mentioned about the San Diego Padres, it is very impressive, particularly being in the West, 12-3 record, and the Dodgers 11-5. But we know how this goes, man. Sad thing about baseball, 162 game season. You get hot for a quarter, you get cold for a quarter, you go midway, and you still can end up in last place. So you can't get too excited. I'm happy for them because it's really early, and some things never change. Who's in first place in the American League East? The damn Yankees. Spending all that money. It's just what it is. Every year, the Yankees, Toronto's doing okay. Detroit is in first in the Central. The Angels are impressive in the West. That's impressive. I think that's Ron Washington out there. Is that right? Mm-hmm. But it's like anything else. Until we really get into it a little deeper, everybody's happy right now. But as you get into it more, that same team could be at the bottom in a minute. Like I thought the Reds were gonna make a run right now. They're 7-8 with a new manager, Terry Francona. But you just have to wait. And I like Terry Francona because I think the Reds have had more. We mentioned earlier the word stopgap managers. Mm-hmm. You need somebody that has been a winner and come here and turn around, know what it's like to kind of coach these guys the right way. And I think a guy like that can help them. One last thing, I really want to see what happens with this team and trying to see where they're at right now. But the New York Mets, they're in second place. That's a team that spent a lot of money over the years, and now it's time for them to get some payment back on that investment. You always ask yourself, for my last point for the Major League Baseball report, if they had the general manager that didn't get in trouble and who brought all those pieces together, if they had him still on the line, would they be better? You just wonder, why is it that sometimes guys have these positions, they do great things, they make major changes, and off the field or off whatever situations put them in a bad light, and they can't get out their own damn way. Yeah. All that money, and you still can't get out their own damn way.
Shouts out to Deshaun Watson. Let's go to the NBA. And I found out today, Cris, that the Warriors have to win in order to solidify that number 6 spot to play the Lakers, because the Lakers already solidified that number 3 spot. Denver has to do some fancy dancing to kind of stay in their spot. But if they don't, they go in a play-in. And I'm looking forward. I know Ice mentioned it yesterday. I'm looking forward to the Laker Warriors matchup in that first round. I am not looking forward to seeing the Golden State Warriors. I think they're too long in the tooth to be playing in a play-in and then trying to win playoff games. I just can't see it. So they have to win today. And also, Curry has a hurt right thumb. So, your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah. I heard that report about Curry having a thumb injury. So, not to mention they've got some older players. Draymond's been around for a while, so they definitely need that win so they can rest, let Curry's thumb heal. What I was going to mention was I think there's like a 4-way tie where people need to win, like the Nuggets are 49-32, Clippers are 49-32. So it should be interesting. I don't know if the Lakers want to see the Warriors that soon.
No. I don't think so.
No. That should be interesting.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the East and the West, and you have OKC. They're in the number 1 seed. They're waiting for the winners of the play-in. You have the Rockets are number two, the Lakers number three, Denver is number four at this particular point, and those are the teams that are maybe kind of solidified in their placement. I think Denver still has to win. But you look at the East, Cleveland have been coasting for the last few weeks, Ice, and Indiana Pacers have been playing really well and
Yeah.
moving up. You got the Bucks out there, the Knicks holding that third spot. It's going to be real. I'm going to play close attention to the Knicks and Pistons series because I don't know. I don't know. The Knicks really have to solidify to win that. And you have Boston at that number two seed. I don't think they're mad at being at that number two seed because now it's their time to make their bones. They've already experienced winning a championship last year. They know how it feels. So I don't think that they're really kind of worried about being at a number two seed, especially if they play the number seven seed, which could be the Orlando Magic or the Atlanta Hawks. So I don't think they're worried about that at all. Your thoughts on the playoff picture, Ice?
Yeah, it's all over the place. You guys mentioned about Steph Curry's thumb. That brother gonna be all right, man. With this on the line, one thing about him, unless it's broken, he probably have a contraption on it. He's a dog, man. Don't you worry, he will be out there today. And I think they play the Clippers. So that's even better. It's more intriguing. He gonna find a way, and he probably score a lot of points, or he's gonna get those guys fired up. Because I do want to see that series, 3 versus 6, Lakers versus the Warriors. Because I remember the last game that they played. I think they played in L.A. and
Mm-hmm.
Luka and whatnot, and the Warriors beat them by 10.
Yeah, they wore them out.
I mean, it was hard, but they beat them by 10.
Yeah.
They shut Luka down, and people are, as I told you, people are poo-pooing my man Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Bruh, a motivated Jimmy Butler, even at this age, is a problem. And I'm not saying they're going to win the championship, but they sure can give some people some problems. And I think they can definitely give the LA Lakers major problems. If it does keep the way it is, that Indiana Milwaukee series could be very interesting. I think that's 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Very interesting too. And the 4 and 5, the other way too on the West, Denver and the Clippers. And Denver's been up and down. And they got rid of the coach and the GM.
Yeah.
You gonna tell me an interim coach is gonna hold that together? I think they did a real disservice, man, you have the MVP, the Joker,
Mm-hmm.
and now you expect some interim coach, even though he's an atom when he comes from great stock in that family. Man, you need some, I don't think Malone, the former coach Malone was that bad. When you get into the playoffs, you need somebody that has a little bit of experience to really keep things going on, especially with Murray being out for a little bit. But I get off this. I love OKC. I think they're amazing. They're going to take a special group to knock them off in the West. I mean, they can be beat. Lakers showed you that. And they showed they have a little immature at times. But I like them. I like the way that they're playing right now when they want to play. I also like in the East, as much as I like Cleveland, and they got a great coach, Kenny Atkinson has really got those guys playing tougher and playing like they haven't before. Just cannot disregard Boston, bro.
No.
Because what Boston showed you last year is we got the goods. We got everything we knew. We like 9 deep. And if you don't come in here correct, we will beat you. And the only thing their experience and winning that last year, we'll see how that goes. But I think that's the one thing. Like even when that's why I don't think the Lakers will go far because we know that Luka is a defensive liability. Jaylen Brown showed you that you don't belong. Oh, you can't check me. He showed you that there. LeBron James at times, at his age, can be a liability. Reeves can be a liability, defensive liability. And you got to come with it. So it's going to be interesting. I still think until Boston is dethroned, it's going to be hard to write them off, right? Because when healthy, they get after it.
And what I noticed about Boston is that their role players and their bench have improved this year. They're not just relying on the starters. They're not relying on Brown. They're not relying on Tatum. They have stepped it up a lot. And that's why I said that I don't think that they're sad about being in that number two slot. It's like, okay, we don't need to work that hard. We're in the playoffs. We're in a comfortable position,
Right.
and we can knock off the top team. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they kind of jump on the first team that they play. So let's go to quick hitters. I'm going to go with Ice on your quick hitter. What's your quick hitter this week, man?
I'm just really interested to see how the NIL really plays in college football in the next upcoming season. Because you had a situation in Tennessee where the quarterback, I guess, asked for more money, and then they told him they didn't have it, and they just kind of left him out there. And I guess he's a freshman quarterback, and he was all ready to go to come back, and then I guess he tried to get more money, and then apparently one of the other coaches snitched on him that he was inquiring about, and now they're saying that Dan Lanning at Oregon allegedly, because I gotta say that word allegedly, called Tennessee's coach Heupel to tell him, hey, your guy is over here trying to get some coin to transfer.
Wow.
And Tennessee like took his picture off, all kind of stuff, and you're out of here.
Well, I didn't think you could do that. But Chris, any thoughts on this, man?
I I don't know, man. It's like the Wild West. I mean, everybody's just trying to get paid or put themselves in a better, better situation. It's kind of become there's got to be some more rules and governing over how things are operating,
Yeah.
so that you don't have a situation like that. I mean, that's a huge loss. I mean, for Tennessee, that's just huge.
Yeah, I didn't think you could do that. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know if he was dry snitching or snitching and snitching, but I mean, you just
yeah.
don't do that. I mean,
John, let me ask you this question. Boom. Look, it's clear. In Columbus, Ohio, we know this. There were several offers made
yeah,
and calls made to Jeremiah Smith's people,
Well, I'm sure.
along with Carnell Tate, number 17's, their team too, about transferring and moving along. So I know you say you say you didn't think you could do that, bruh. It's happening.
yeah,
It's happening.
Yeah,
And they're making calls, and some people are answering the calls, but Jeremiah Smith was like, why would they said even Miami inquired. Come home, you've done that. You don't need to do anything. But he's like, look, dude, don't live with La Vida Loca. He could be mayor of Columbus, Ohio right now. Why would you leave a situation when you are the man and gonna be the man unless the NFL draft opens up for the next 2 years? He can do no wrong. Why would you leave a situation? You just won a national championship. They're gonna do nothing but just help you grow. You're gonna work on your interpersonal skills, your personal skills as far as how you develop as a man too.
yeah.
Sometimes all money ain't good money, bro. You got a good situation. Just chill, relax. You comfortable. Probably, and I don't know what he driving, but he probably living well too. And you at The Ohio State University, I'm gonna just say, allegedly, he's doing all right.
All right. That leads right into my quick hitter questions for both of you. I don't know who's the biggest OSU fan here or who supports the Ohio State University more between these two because these two are from Ohio. Chris, I'm gonna give it to you, man. You went to
I
the playoffs and all that stuff with your son.
yeah, I live and breathe Ohio State football. I mean, I have since I can't even remember how old I was. Just always root for them. Just a real huge fan. So I don't know how you measure it. Usually take in a couple of games a year. I was fortunate enough to go to the playoff game against Tennessee with my son, so we really enjoyed that. I don't even think we sat down that whole game. I'll let Ice Water chime in.
You said you're not a fan. You're part of the family. It's important to you.
Yeah,
He,
I pay money to be there, bro. So you know what I'm saying. So that fandom thing is kind of, it's plus two. I mean, I would clearly say Baller is the bigger fan because anybody that will go and spend their money to I'm saying I have not bought a ticket or anything like that, but I got spoiled because I was part of the media. But anybody that enjoys being there and spending their money, and enjoying the moment. That to me is more amazing than anything. And I say that with being a former member or slash still a member of the media, to see how the fans react and really appreciate what goes on and really have a love for the team and the players. Now I clearly think he's a better fan because I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if I'm gonna be spending my money, bro. Not and because I'm spoiled because I've seen it all. I've seen it from all levels. So knowing what I know, I appreciate the fans. I really do. I appreciate them. So I pull back. My blessing is as a media member, I got to see inside. And being inside, I got a chance to connect with people that I've known, I got to meet, and I'll know for the rest of my life. That's the beauty of it for me. So instead of the fan, I appreciated being the media guy, like guys like Cornelius Green, quarterback back in the day, uh, Archie Griffin, of course, really solid person I know for years. The late John Hicks, the late Jack Tatum. So that's my energy, and I love theirs. But I still say that I would defer to him because of the fact that you can just tell when he talks about it, it's genuine. Like he said, he and his son went. They never sat down. I mean, that's a fan.
Yeah.
That's a fan. I mean, like people say, do you miss being a media member? I'm like, nah, it's cool, but I also like sitting on my couch, bro.
Yeah. Because I
Right
remember
now.
when the playoffs was going on and Tennessee was playing Ohio State, I think you were sick at that time. And you text me, and I thought you were at the game. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's supposed to be sick. Because I know Cris texted me, like, a picture of him and his son. And then I'm like, you mentioned the game. And I'm like, wait a minute, you ain't supposed to be out there. And it's
Uh,
that cold out there. Like, what you doing out there?
no, you're
My
absolutely
father
right.
at the time. And I'm like, he ain't supposed to be out there. And I
Yeah,
was,
no, I was at home, bro.
yeah,
One, even if I wasn't sick, I wouldn't have been there. It was too damn cold. So kudos to Chris and his son. So I got love for that. Anybody that was out there, it was cold and
Yeah, it
they
was
said it
cold.
changed. And the Tennessee fans came and left by halftime. The fact that you were in the building, no, I told you, hands down, I give it to you. And the other thing too that I'm a snob. I was like I told you, I've been spoiled. If somebody ever asked me to go to the game again, right, and sit with the people, right? So first thing I asked them is, where are your seats? Dude, I don't do C block, C section, bro. I don't do C. I can't. I can't. It's too high. I get nervous. I start sweating, all kind of stuff. If it's not low, I'm not going. Because you got to realize, I sat in the press box for years enclosed, meals, TV,
so
the
they
whole
give you,
time.
they bring the meals to you?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like a buffet.
Okay.
So, like if it's lunchtime, they might have city barbecue and the McDonald's parfaits. It's a whole line, bruh. So
Yeah.
whenever you want to get up, you need something, you just go up to the refreshment area, get what you need, come back. And then when you look up above you, so when you're higher up, it's like a huge window that you're above you can see the whole field, right?
Yeah.
And then right in the same area where you're at, there are TVs plastered all across the road. So you might see 4 games from other games that you watching while you watching the game, bro. It's heaven. It's football
Yeah.
heaven. They need to let a
Yeah.
few fans experience that because you will never want to leave again.
Yeah.
It's like being at a sports bar without the alcoholic beverages, without the cheering too.
Yeah,
It's
I
food,
remember
everything.
going to a Bulls game years ago
Mhm.
in the suites.
Yeah.
That's the last time I went because it's like people offer me Bulls tickets to sit and and I'm like no because they bring the food to you.
Yeah.
You're sitting there, you can watch it on the monitors, you can watch.
Yeah.
And at the time, my kids were younger, and I brought them there, and they were like, "Man, this is the best,"
Again, it's amazing.
I just got offered some tickets to see the Cubs next weekend, and I'm like, man, I wish these were their press box because I know it's gonna be cold in Chicago next week.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
know it's gonna be cold.
But like you say though, and I said that's the blessing because I've experienced some things that are second to none. Like the last Ohio State national championship in Dallas, I got a chance to attend that against Oregon. Right. In Jerry's world too, man. it's just second to none. I mean, that's the one thing I enjoy out of all of this is being at certain things, being in certain venues that I wish fans could enjoy. I remember telling my brother I had opportunity to have like an assistant a few times over the years. And literally, or I had opportunities because the media sometimes gets tickets, right? Opportunity to get tickets. I made sure my brother was there with me. I was like, man, you cannot miss this. The national championship in Ohio State. My brother was living in Arlington, Texas at the time, which is like right down the street from the stadium. I bought him a ticket the day of the game. I was like, dude, you got to be here. I think the tickets were going crazy at the time. We paid 210, and he sat in row 9. And I think too, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give you guys a master class. One day, we're gonna take some time. It might be in a little pop-up or a 15-minute interval. And Puma will talk about this, putting this together. But we're going to share you some basic tips for the true fans. So you don't have to pay $1 million to go to the games. You got certain things you can watch out for and pay attention to, where you can be sitting in those nice seats and not pay a boatload of money.
Yeah.
So I'm promise you that. I'm gonna give that to you. And it works, I'm telling you. I had my brother at a couple of national championship games. We saw Floyd Mayweather live a few times in boxing. This works all the way across the board. You just have to understand how the system works.
I want to take that class because I've always wondered, how are these people getting these seats? I mean, I get it. There's some people that money is not an issue, but the everyday working guy, how does he get his hands on those tickets before these scalpers get them, and then resell them to the public?
Well, Baller, because you have now joined the family, I might have a little something for you. That's all I'm gonna just say. I'm gonna put that out there.
All right.
I want to go to the Ohio State football game too, and basketball game too. Last second shot. These are parting shots or on sports topics. I'm gonna give it to Baller. I'm gonna still call you Cuddy, but for this show, I'm gonna call you Baller. What's the last second shot?
The only thing I can think of is maybe who's going to be the player of the year in the NBA.
You got SGA. You got I don't know.
Yeah.
Djokovic is going to get it this year because his team really didn't perform the way everybody expected to. Whether it was coaching, inner team turmoil, I don't know. But those are the only two that I can think of that really deserve the nod on that one. So that's a good last second shot. I'm wondering that myself. Ice, what's your last second shot?
Yeah, my one last second shot. I was gonna jump around a little bit, but I'm gonna stick with March Madness. Coming in, you never know how March Madness is going to go. Everybody has their brackets filled out. I know sometimes in the past people always want to see a Cinderella team and they get all excited about that. But when you see these Cinderella teams get up, usually higher up, they struggle sometimes, and then the viewership's down and things like that. But this time, pretty much things went chalk, right? Which means your number 4, number 1 seeds came all the way across the board. And I think each one of the number 1 seeds were that strong. You think about Auburn, for the most part, they showed you all year long they're really one of the most dominant teams. Florida showed you all year long, pretty much they ran through the SEC, even though some people might have thought it was down or whatever, but they ran through it. Duke was Duke, right? Duke got hot. They had the player of the year in flag, and they worked. Houston, even though people didn't know how good they were, you got to think they transferred conferences and ran through that conference. And they showed you at times they were very dominant. And what we ended up having with that being the case, we saw probably some of the best basketball, particularly in the Final Four, that we have in a long time. Great games, catch you on your seat, emotional games, no matter who you're rooting for. And I think that just shows you that March Madness still matters. People still love it. It's still a great thing going on. I just hope that the NCAA, don't mess this up, man.
Yeah.
Don't add no more teams, right? Don't take none away. Also, they need to make, unless something happens crazy, they need to make Dayton, Ohio, the permanent home of the first 4. There's no city in America, I promise you, I grew up there, born and raised. There's no city in America that loves the sport of basketball the way that Dayton, Ohio does. And the community jumps on it, they support it, UD Arena. It's one of the things that when teams go there, they feel like royalty. They love it. They love the opportunity to do it. And it's just an amazing thing. So keep that going there and just let it be what it is, man, because it is great. These kids are competing. Everybody's excited. Everybody has a chance to win. Let's see what happens next year. But please do not make any drastic changes to this tournament. The only thing y'all need to recognize is, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying this to y'all. I'm always giving y'all nuggets. I know I'm rumbling on this one. But remember this. NCAA is still trying to keep it together. I told you this before, Puma. They take the money for the Final Four, the tickets, like early December or late November. So for anybody that just wants to have a chance to go to get Final Four tickets, the NCAA holds on to that money, puts it in an account to let it draw interest.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that they get it, they give them their tickets. Those that don't, they send your money back. But they've already made interest off your money by holding it for 3-4 months, whatever it might be. This is a serious ass game at your expense. So just know they need you more than you need them. And they need to recognize that and think about that accordingly.
Yeah. Thanks for that, fellas. My last second shot goes out to Chris's mom, who was our professor, me and Ice's professor, who inspired us. And we do what we do here because she pushed us. We don't have to do this. We don't get paid to do this, but she pushed us to be the best. And if it wasn't for her, I remember, I'll tell you a quick story. I came in, I wanted to do 24 hours in my freshman year, 24 academic hours for my first trimester. And as I was sitting there talking to her and she was asking about my life, she was taking out her famous red pen and marking up my schedule and said, here's 17. You prove to me you can do this, and then I'll get you whatever you want. Because I told her I wanted to graduate in 3 years. So you do this, and then we'll talk about your schedule for the rest of it. But she was always pushing, and she only pushed the ones that she felt or she saw something in. Cris has one of her memoirs, and I had an opportunity to read it. And I hope he puts it out because what I read in that book brought a tear to my eye because I understood why she was pushing us so hard. And I thank her every day for that. And I thank him for being part of my life and his mom and his family. So that's our show. We'll see you next time. Take care.